Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out with the latest edition of FLEXpectations. We're here every Thursday, 4:30 PM, to talk about the boxing action to come over the weekend. And this weekend, this Saturday night to be specific, it's Leeds. Josh Warrington back in his hometown or home city stronghold, Headingley Stadium. You can expect a superb atmosphere, I'm sure, for his rematch with Mauricio Lara, who ended Warrington's long unbeaten record back in, I think it was February, with a crushing 9th round stoppage victory. Pretty dominant throughout, to be fair. Warrington won a few rounds, but never looked like he was going to make his way back into a fight after a shocking start. And spoke to Adam Smith yesterday when Sky launched its new boxing lineup. And he talked quite a lot about telling stories and kind of backstories of fighters and building a narrative around big fights and that kind of thing. And this, even though it's not a Sky show, is a great example of that, because Warrington was riding high, world champion, gave up his belt to seek bigger fights, was supposed to fight Can Xu, who was the WBA regular champion, in a huge fight. That didn't come together, so he had to take a replacement opponent who wasn't necessarily of Can Xu's standard in a venue with no fans. When he fought Mauricio Lara, Mexican, unsung, had defeats on his record, big jump up in opposition for him, and ended up getting an absolute pasting. I was reading just this morning the superb interview that Warrington did with Donald McRae for The Guardian. You can read that online. Just talking about the punishment he took in the fight. He had a busted eardrum, he had a concussion, went into hospital after the fight, broken jaw, I think it was, as well. Just took an absolute beating. Struggled massively. He got dropped in round 4, and then from there just really struggled to get a foothold in the fight before it was stopped after he was put down again in the 9th. And he said, to be fair to Warrington, he didn't offer up a busload of excuses in the interview with McRae, but he did say he did feel a bit flat with the lack of fans. He was used to, obviously he's got one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fan base in British boxing, was used to a more raucous atmosphere and felt quite flat from the off. But he didn't really put that up as an excuse. He felt that he was maybe a bit cocky, maybe a bit complacent. Having won, I think it was the first round, dropped his hands a bit, didn't really, he wasn't defensively responsible as he had been in the past, and paid for it in the 4th round and from there on. So brutally honest, and admits as well that he's thought about it a lot since, and that it's affected his family, that his wife, for example, often or in the past has felt he was virtually untouchable, that he would never come out of a fight, in serious danger, and her being with him in the hospital and seeing what had happened to him in the fight had changed that to an extent. I can't praise the interview enough. Don McRae's the best in the business, and he proves it once again with that. But getting back to the subject, this could either be a very sad story of, repeat tragedy, or it could be an uplifting redemption tale. We will find out on Saturday night. I mean, I'm not sure about Warrington going straight back in with Lara. Apparently he's learned his lesson, and the fact that there will be a huge crowd on hand has reignited the fire within him. He's laser focused this time around, where perhaps he wasn't the first time. But Lara's got a kind of casual confidence about him when you speak to him that's bordering on chilling, to be honest, if you're a Warrington fan. He seems absolutely certain the same thing's going to happen again. He said he doesn't expect the fight to go to the judges' scorecards. And for him, there's no need to change the strategy. He'll be on Warrington from round 1, intelligent pressure, letting those heavy hands go. And Warrington says in the McRae article that he took a shot from Lara, and he'd never felt that before. He'd never been buzzed like that before. Now, that could be because he was complacent, he wasn't quite there. But it could also be because Lara's just a massive puncher compared to the guys Warrington's fought in the past. And also because maybe he hasn't been hit cleanly like that in the past. So there are, alarm bells ringing for Warrington. And a lot of people within the trade are predicting a repeat performance, that Warrington Not that he's completely shot or anything like that. You don't go from being a world champion to a shot fighter overnight, or maybe you do actually, or maybe over in one fight. But I don't think that was an example of it. But there is this feeling that maybe Lara is the man on the way up. He's fresher. He's, untainted by the sport. Warrington, we know, was coming towards the end of his career, even before the Lara fight. And there may be a feeling that the Mexican has Warrington's number. Now, I'm not quite ready to subscribe to that yet, but I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. I'm not sure Warrington's got the power to stand in the pocket throughout with Lara, nor should he. It wouldn't be a sensible decision and break the Mexican down. I think if Warrington's going to win, he's going to have to mix it up between boxing and brawling when necessary. Standing in the pocket, landing 2 or 3 and moving off laterally. And being more defensively responsible, head movement, keep a higher guard and so on. But I think if he's going to win, it's going to be on points, whereas I think Lara can win either way. He could be the kind of aggressor, land enough shots over enough rounds to win on points, but I think more likely from his point of view, his best key to victory would be to do similar to last time, albeit maybe not as dominant, but to gradually kind of break Warrington down and get a late stoppage. We'll see on Saturday night which of those things or something else occurs. But I think it's an excellent main event. A lot of people are saying the card is stacked and comparing it to Liverpool show on October the 9th. I don't agree with that. I think there's 2 really competitive fights on this card. I think there's more on the Liverpool show. I think, I'm happy to have egg on my face if I'm wrong about this, but I think Conor Benn against Adrian Granados and Katie Taylor against Jennifer Han may both turn out to be mismatches, predominantly due to the size advantages enjoyed by the house fighters. Conor Benn, career welterweight pretty much, and quite a big welterweight at this stage now, going up against Adrian Granados, who has fought at welter plenty of times before, but always has looked a bit outsized, had his better performances, in my view, at 140. And just at this relative stages of their careers, Ben, best form of his life, still young, about to knock on the door of that world scene, I guess, with this fight. Granados has been around a long time, and he's had some punishing battles as well, even some of the fights he's won. So I just think timing and size make Ben a big favourite, and he certainly is a big favourite with the bookmakers. As is Taylor, who's defending her undisputed lightweight titles against Jennifer Han, who was a great featherweight, IBF featherweight champion for a long time, but has jumped up 2 weight classes for this fight, has been inactive in recent years after the birth of her second child, and of course COVID hitting as well. I just think she hasn't been as active as Katie. She certainly hasn't been fighting the same level of opposition as Taylor, and will be smaller, quite clearly smaller, and not as physically strong on the night. And I think against an opponent of that level, we've seen what Katie Taylor can do. So I would be surprised if Taylor doesn't get a stoppage in that one. But the other fight I'm really looking forward to on the show, and I want to mention Hopi Price against Zahid Hussein. I think that's decent as well. But the one I'm really looking forward to is Giovanni Straffon, who we last saw, another Mexican, beating a house fighter over here, destroying James Tennyson in a round. He's defending the IBO title he won against Tennyson, this time against the on-form Maxi Hughes. Hughes, one of the most improved fighters in the country, or maybe he's just got the breaks that he didn't get in the past. I know previously he'd lost a lot of really close decisions, but in beating the likes of John O'Carroll and Victor Kotochikov as an underdog, he's really elevated his career, and then went in as the favourite for the vacant British title last time out and beat Paul Hyland Jr. So some great wins. Maxi Hughes does a bit of everything. He can dig a bit, but he's a good boxer puncher, good footwork, nice shot selection and variety. Really like watching him. Straffon, hard to tell from the one round it lasted against Tennyson, but seems like more of an all-out aggressor, big puncher. Never been concerned really about Maxi Hughes' chin though. And I think it's a good style match for Hughes. I think he can look good against Straffon. I think the difference between Straffon and Lara, for example, is that Lara we got to see over 9 rounds kind of keep that hard pace that he set early going, and showed a bit of nuance and a bit of guile to go with his power. We haven't seen that from Straffon because the fight didn't last long enough to see it. Maybe he has got a lot more in the tank, but his record certainly doesn't indicate that he has. But then maybe neither did Lara's before he went into the fight with Warrington. So he is a danger man, and Hughes will have to be laser focused. I think I've used that twice in this vlog, so one more and I can never use it again. But I just believe Maxi Hughes is on red hot form at the moment. I think he has got the skills to go up another level as well. I don't know if it's quite to world title level. Time will tell. But preparing in camp alongside Warrington, who's got the most important fight of his career on Saturday night on the same bill, under his father, of course, Sean O'Hagan, I think that will do Maxi Hughes some favours as well. But I expect to see a real exciting, entertaining clash between those two. So, yeah, really looking forward to that, and hugely looking forward to the main event. For British boxing, as he is one of the biggest ticket sellers in the country, and could still be in big fights at featherweight against the likes of Kid Galahad in a rematch, or Lee Wood, of course, who's got the WBA regular belt. For British boxing, it would be better if Josh Warrington were to win. But I've just got a real concern that Lara is going to perhaps upset the party again, or poop the party, if that's even a thing. But we shall see. I want to know what you guys think. What are your predictions for Saturday night and why? Let me know in the comments, and I'll respond to some of them. Meanwhile, we've got Josh Green at Leeds. He'll be at the press conference, weigh-in, fight night, speaking to all the fighters and promoter Eddie Hearn. So stay tuned to the channel to keep an eye on that. I'll be back on Monday for Reflections, looking back on the show, 4:30 PM, and then the same time Thursday for the next FLEXpectations. And I think Frank Warren's got 2 shows that weekend, a prospect show on the 10th, and then a Sonny Edwards headline show on the 11th. So I'll be looking ahead to those, and also the Oscar De La Hoya Vita Belfort headlined show, which does have some normal boxing fights also on display. Really appreciate your time, as always, and I will be back soon. Yeah, thanks very much. See you later.